Chapter 25, Odds Against Art. I hate long updates. Chris Etchers is a very slow author. I mean, even the mole is getting tired of waiting. Anyway, here's part 3. Episode 6, Part 3. McAllibu entered. "Greetings," he said. The two players let out a small, simultaneous sigh. "Phew," said Toadette. "I thought you were the art critic. I mean, we did finish, but we didn't think she would come so soon." "What makes you think it's a she?" Toadette paused at McAllibu's statement. "I am the art critic," McAllibu finished. "You're an art critic?" Luigi said with surprise. "I never knew that." "Oh," said Toadette, smiling and putting her hand up to her mouth. "Toadette, I guess I'm kind of a hypocrite in denial, but because I'm a girl it's okay to be sexist." "I am the art critic indeed," the host told them. "Surprised? I have an MA degree in art history and criticism, and up this day had I ever been reminded of such the fact." "Wow, that's cool," Luigi added. "And impressive. It's good that we finished in time." "Yeah, it's very coincidental indeed," said McAllibu. "But now the exhibit challenge has begun, and here are the rules." He closed the door behind him. "I as the art critic will be looking around at these 6 pieces of art. Out of these 6, I'm assuming that one of these is yours, one that you had been working on and finishing up in the past 4 hours. I hope you had cleverly disguised yours to blend in with the others, because after I'm done I'm going to determine which one of these is the one you two had constructed. If you can fool me, I'll add 7,500 coins to the pot. If I pick yours out, you win nothing." "Okay," said Toadette, who looked back Luigi, who smiled widely. "Be my guest," Luigi said to the host. "Look around." "I will in the immediate," he replied. The two players followed McAllibu as he approached the center of the art exhibition. He turned around to the left, to the first piece of art, the top hat with the diamond-tipped comb sticking out from its top. "Very unique, yes," McAllibu said in a thoughtful voice. "This one is supposedly representing vanity, the way a comb and a hat goes together in this piece." "And the diamond too," Luigi added. The three of them went on to the second work of art, the shattered glass upon the multicolored plexiglass. "The theme of this is light," observed the host. "Such shattered debris is a symbol of destruction and war, but then the rainbow that is formed counters it. Maybe the artist is saying that through no circumstances you'll find endless trouble and that there is. What is it? Always a rainbow at the end." Luigi finished. Toadette giggled, as they moved on to the art with the arrows. "Love is obviously visible here," he said. "And it might be such a theme that you guys may have simply thought up. I don't see any difficulty in making arrows form the outline of a heart on the wall." "Yup," said Luigi. "Maybe it's ours." They continued to the fourth art exhibit, the one the two of them had made. Both players were silent as McAllibu observed it. "I get the feeling that those 3 elements were chosen out of no coincidence," he commented, pointing at the brick, straw, and stick among the shattered debris inside the television. "But I see no true theme here." Luigi and Toadette held their breaths. "On second thought," McAllibu continued, "this work of art might have also been by the same artist that created the multicolored plexiglass one I had seen previously." Toadette silently grabbed Luigi's hand, and he looked back at her with a smile. Of course that can't be ours, Luigi said to Michaliboo. Toadette stared at Luigi in disbelief. Toadette, if you say to someone, that can't be ours, then it's obviously yours. I was afraid that Luigi had just given us away. Don't say anything else, Toadette whispered to Luigi as they walked over to the fifth piece of art. Why not? He said back in a confused voice. Michaliboo stopped in front of the band-aid-covered ladder and looked at it keenly. The lone comment I have on this one is that it's well made, not impacting on symbolism, but symbolic enough to be understood. Toadette frowned as they moved on to the last piece of work in the room. Oh, God, Michaliboo said with a moan. Luigi and Toadette laughed. I am going to exclude this one from being chosen, he added. They followed the art critic through the gallery once again as he examined each one for a second time, especially 3 of them in certain. He pointed to the heart arrow art and the ladder. Those 2 I will eliminate, he declared. Toadette looked at her partner with disappointment. Hey, he's still a clueless, Luigi whispered to her. No, I am not clueless, the host said. He went back to the artwork with the plexiglass. I feel the analytical sense here, he said out loud, which mixes with how the glass is performed and shaped to match unevenness throughout. He stepped to the side to stare at it from another glance. The mustached plumber did the same thing. This, I am assuming, is not yours. Luigi looked uneasy all of a sudden. Toadette, how much time did you have to work on your piece of art? Michaliboo questioned. 3 or 4 hours, she said, unsure. We started at 11 o'clock a.m. and now it's almost 4. That would be 5 hours, he corrected. Do not lie to an art critic. Toadette didn't smile. Then, Michaliboo turned directly to the television art piece for his last time. I see that this is an allusion to the 3 little pigs, he said with thought. And an idea like this does not follow the others uniformly. He picked up a piece of metal from inside the TV. Making these is something that could be done in a time limit of 5 hours, he said observantly, especially when your ideas have reached an end of creativity. He stood up from his kneeling position. I say that the television against the hat is more detailed than the corresponding item, he concluded, and that in choice and in favor, I officially decide that Luigi Mario and Toadette Toad had created this piece of work. He stood admirably next to the art piece as a final answer. Boo, Luigi mumbled. You got it right. Darn. Yeah, that's ours, said Toadette with full disappointment. You spotted it, congratulations. You guys don't sound so happy, Michaliboo told them. But don't worry in the slightest. That was only half the challenge. The 2 of them looked surprised. Follow me, quickly, the host said, as Luigi and Toadette followed him out of the room, across the museum lobby, and into another room which held monitors displaying a live recording of the art exhibit they were just in. Luigi, I guess we just thought that we would do well in the exhibit challenge, having worked so hard and having believed our television masterpiece was the best. But Michaliboo was able to spot it. I thought Toadette put a lot of work into the art to make it look fashionable, or fancy, but now I know that the 3 little pigs idea wasn't the best. But we tried, no? Toadette, I thought the challenge was unfair because we had to trick an experienced art critic into determining that our amateur piece of art was authentic.
The thing that bothered me most was that I think Luigi's talking triggered some sort of giveaway, resulting in Micalibu's decision that the television was ours. If you tell someone something along the words of, "This is not the one we created," then it's the one you created. I think Luigi definitely tried to do something. The game was only halfway done, like I had said. 2 more critics were going to try this time to determine which one of the pieces of art Luigi and Toadette had created.
"It burns!"
exclaimed Lakitu, entering the warm building of the Elsam Art Gallery Museum. Blooper followed right behind him, taking off his jacket but still holding them in his tentacles.
"I'm never going to take an outdoor option ever again in my life,"
Lakitu declared, as Blooper laughed.
"I'll have to agree on that,"
said Blooper.
"Say, let's go enter that door."
He pointed to the blue door, closest to the entrance.
Hey, not so fast,"
said an appearing Micalibu. They both jumped back, startled.
"Crap, you scared us,"
Lakitu admitted.
"That makes me know that I'm doing my job,"
the host replied.
"Just wait till the next challenge after this one, and then you'll really be scared of me."
The 2 players could only imagine the worst.
"So I am completely clueless,"
Blooper stated.
"Why are we at this art museum?"
The host pushed open the blue door in front of them, and the 3 of them entered slowly. Still in place were the 6 works of art, scattered but neat around the room. Blooper and Lakitu looked at the site with speculation.
"In case you didn't know, I am an art critic with a MA degree in art history and criticism,"
Micalibu started.
"We weren't wondering,"
blurted Lakitu. For a second, nobody said anything. Then the 3 of them burst into laughter.
"Lakitu, you really messed everyone up to this point,"
said Blooper, who then faced the door to close it.
"Be quiet, I'm the host,"
continued Micalibu with amusement.
"Like I previously said, I have a MA degree in art history and criticism."
He looked sharply at Lakitu, who this time held back from any verbal procedures.
"So our challenge is..." During this whole time, Luigi and Toadette had been playing a game of their own, just like you guys had been. They were given a task to make their own art masterpiece and hide it among these other 5, in the attempt to prevent an art critic in spotting theirs out. I was able to spot theirs. Unfortunately, now it's time for you guys to pick theirs out. You guess correctly, you add 7,500 coins to the team pot. Understand? Look around and get started."
As he went to lean against the wall on the opposite side, Blooper and Lakitu walked into the section of the art gallery.
"I would say that this one might be theirs,"
said Blooper, looking at the hat with the diamond-tipped comb coming out from the top.
"It's simple and imaginative." "This one is definitely a choice,"
agreed Lakitu. In the museum room across from the 2 players, Luigi and Toadette watched on a monitor screen the actions and words of Blooper and Lakitu as they observed each and every piece of art.
"Shoot, I think they've been convinced that the first one is ours,"
Toadette noticed.
"Already?"
Luigi said in surprise.
"It's only the first one."
They watched the screen as the 2 other players walked over to the plexiglass masterpiece. Clearly, they heard their words.
"Lakitu, I find this one really detailed, and hard to make."
Blooper,
"But I think that this is the type of work Toadette would do, because it's colorful and has a happier theme to it."
Lakitu,
"Nah, let's skip this one."
They both moved on to the heart on the wall. Blooper.
This is also very girlish. Possible Toadette's idea.
Lackey 2.
Yeah, but I find a hard time believing that Luigi would agree with an idea like this. But maybe the idea of arrows was his part in this one.
They went on to the fourth masterpiece, the television. Blooper.
I don't see how this could be theirs. There's a lot of glass that both Luigi and Toadette would be uncomfortable to associate with.
Lackey 2.
There's a brick, a bundle of straw, and I think that's a stick inside there too.
Blooper.
Overall, let's eliminate this one. Holy crap,
whispered Luigi.
Why was Blooper so determined to eliminate ours?
Toadette said, almost to herself.
I have no clue why, but hopefully they'll change their minds,
Luigi said hopefully. The other two players stepped toward the ladder against the wall. Blooper.
Since this is covered in band-aids, it probably shows how ladders hurt you when you fall from them.
Lackey 2.
Yeah, danger. This is mega symbolism.
Blooper.
Doesn't Luigi always get hurt while traveling with Mario? I do not.
Blurted Luigi at the screen. Lackey 2.
The ways the band-aids are covering the metal seem patterned, and way too detailed to be something that Luigi and Toadette did. The band-aids do not have a pattern,
Toadette argued.
What is up with them? They're considering all the art pieces that aren't ours. This game is the devil. Easy, did you just hear them?
Luigi said.
Lackey 2 just said that it's too detailed to be ours. That's 1 for 5.
Finally, they approached the last art exhibit in the gallery. Blooper.
Wow! It's a noose hanging from the ceiling.
Lackey 2.
With a sickle attached to the loop. This is creepy and without doubt is not the one we're looking for. Not to mention that it's physically impossible for Toadette to reach up there.
Blooper.
But Luigi could easily reach there, with a ladder. He's taller than Mario, and even Mario could hang the noose from the ceiling.
Lackey 2.
Are you saying that the ladder is theirs?
Blooper.
Yes. I mean, no. I mean, possibly they're trying to trick us. This piece of art is the most simple to make, and looks dangerous. But maybe Luigi and Toadette used these deadly objects to, earlier on, try to throw off Micaliboo.
Lackey 2.
Hold on a second. You say that Luigi and Toadette are scared to be near pieces of glass in the television art, yet are able to handle an object that could slice someone in half? What the hell, Blooper?
Blooper.
So no for this one.
Lackey 2.
No. I mean, yes. Now you're making me confused.
They reached the end of the gallery, which meant that they had to go back to the start. Though with that, they were still prohibited from taking a second look at each art piece. Micaliboo requested for their final answer.
Now that you have both seen the 6 pieces of art from this gallery, it's time to decide,
the host said.
Which masterpiece did Toadette and Luigi create? Let's put up 2 nominees,
decided Blooper.
I go for the first one with the top hat and the diamond. The arrow heart on the wall,
Lackey 2 added. He pulled out a coin from his pocket.
Heads for the arrows, tails for the hat.
Blooper nodded, as Lackey 2 flipped the coin into the air once and caught it in his outstretched palm.
Tails.
Blooper smiled.
We decide that the top hat on the floor, the first one, is the one that Luigi and Toadette created,
Lackey 2 said for his final answer.
Okay,
replied Michaliboo, as he pointed directly at one of the video cameras in the corner of the white room.
Luigi and Toadette, do you see me? Come down to this room right now.
A few seconds passed by, and it was a long wait until the two players emerged through the blue doors and into the gallery.
Hey guys!
Luigi announced.
We were watching your every move. How special,
said Lakitu.
So tell us, is the hat yours? Alas, no,
Luigi told them.
Sorry, we don't get the 7,500 coins.
Lakitu and Blooper shrugged.
Oh, that stinks,
said Blooper with disappointment.
Then which one was it?
The two players followed the two artists as they went up to the all-important piece of art.
It was this one,
Toadette exclaimed.
The television. We even put a clue of the three little pigs to catch your attention.
Lakitu scratched his head.
This was the art piece that we didn't even consider,
Lakitu admitted.
We eliminated this one first out of all 5. Why?
She asked.
Do we suck that badly? I really don't know,
he replied.
Ahem,
said the host, clearing his throat.
You guys failed the entirety of the art challenge, both in the critic tricking and genuine identifying sections. Out of the 15,000 coins that might have been gained, you get nothing.
Team Pot 163, 500C.
Now we come to part 2 of the Koopa spelling challenge,
he continued.
This being for Luigi and Toadette solely. Answer this question for 7,500 coins, if Blooper was to decide to bury a Mecha Koopa, and Lakitu was to dig a hole 10 feet deep, 8 feet long, and 18 feet wide for it to be placed in, how much dirt there would be in the hole he dug? 30 seconds. I'm not good at math,
Luigi said nervously.
You multiply,
Toadette told him.
I think it would be length, times width, times height. So 10, times 8, times 18. Oh, I can't do that. Wait a second,
Luigi said slowly.
If you dig a hole, there's no dirt in it at all. That's the answer.
Toadette asked him.
Are you sure? Yup, I'm sure of it.
He replied proudly.
This is a trick question. The answer is that there is no dirt. Correct,
said Michaliboo. Both Lakitu and Blooper seemed relieved, as Luigi jumped up with triumph and hugged Toadette.
I guess this makes up for the entire art exhibit loss,
Blooper said to them.
So I guess that means we earned 15,000 coins in total, earned all from the Koopa spelling challenges.
Team Pot 171, 000C.
The pot A makes me so nervous,
Luigi said out loud.
Yeah, me too,
said Lakitu. He looked up, at the window that displayed nothing but the dark sky. Lakitu, winning this game would change my life forever, but now it's not just me anymore who needs this. My wife, my family, everyone in my future who will use this money to live. That's why I'm still playing this game. Dinner was served late at a 5-star hotel. None of the 4 players took this treatment for granted, they ate as humbly, slowly, and loud as they could. It was a table of chatting.
I might want to sue the mole afterwards,
Luigi told the others,
for giving me all this unneeded and ridiculous stress throughout this entire month. I'm with you,
said Lakitu, laughing and pouring himself another glass of wine. In the middle of the table sat 3 bottles of the freshest wine, something unusual to spot but ignored nonetheless.
Okay, I don't know why you would bother suing the mole,
Blooper said with a hint of annoyance in his voice.
And plus, the producers would never allow you to do that. Macaliboo would.
Lakitu piped up. He finished the remaining wine in his glass in a single gulp. Toadette put down her menu and stared at him.
I hope you're not getting drunk,
she said.
Otherwise, we'd like to share the wine on the table instead of binge drinking it. And we didn't even ask for wine,
Blooper mumbled. He poured himself his second glass. Lakitu poured his fifth.
Hey, waiter,
Toadette called out. The waiter, dressed in blue, came to their table.
I'll have the broccoli quiche,
she ordered.
Yes, it is so lovely,
he said to her, as if he was reciting something from the recipe cookbook.
Such tenderness, made only from the highest quality ingredients, half and half cream and natural Swiss cheese in a garlic cream cheese pastry. Wait, you, garlic,
she said.
Never mind. Recommendations?
Luigi asked.
Today's salad is the Waldorf salad. It consists of fine sliced apple and celery, chopped walnuts, mayonnaise or a mayonnaise-based dressing, and crispy slices of what is known as tofu. It was first created around 1893 at the Waldorf Hotel in New York City. Oh, I'll have a Waldorf salad,
Toadette ordered.
No garlic, then no complaints. Screw that, I'm taking a cheeseburger,
said Lakitu. He finished his fifth glass of wine and went for his sixth.
I'll just have the shrimp scampi pasta,
Blooper ordered, handing the waiter his menu.
And you, sir in green?
The waiter said.
Meatballs and spaghetti,
Luigi said. Lakitu burst out laughing as the waiters went off with their orders.
What? I might be drunk,
admitted Lakitu.
I may, out of luck if we're going to have to play a game tonight.
Toadette rolled her eyes. Blooper nodded, not knowing what to say. Luigi laughed with him in delight. By the end of dinner that night, all 3 bottles of wine were empty. The players were more than happy to find out that the hotel was indeed their staying place for the night, and exhausted, each one of them fell asleep in their own separate, individual room. However, only one of them would be sleeping back at the hotel for the next night. For the other 3, there would be alternate accommodations to be chosen from. Accommodations, as in disturbing rooms to spend the night in. So who will be the lucky player to miss out on the next game? And I also have something else to say. Yes, it's true. In this game, there could either be 1 mole or 2 moles. Could there have really been 2 moles this entire time? Or is there just a single person? And also, no mole at all. Yes, this is all true. Either one of these 3 statements are true. But wait. There's even more. 3 moles. Yes, as possibly true as ever. And even the most extreme. Macaliboo is the mole. Too extreme, you say? Fine, there is only 1 mole, and he or she is doing a pretty good job so far in sabotaging. Have you figured out who that is? P.S. New poll, and it's a disturbing one. End of chapter. Chapter 26, Where Will You Sleep? Episode 6, Part 4. Rest was satisfied, which meant that the players were down at the lobby in the nick of time from the time they were awakened. Toadette arrived first and took the entirety of the couch by lying down. Luigi, who arrived second, sat on the armrest. When Lakitu came, he forced Toadette to stop captivating all the comfort and gave Luigi a proper spot to sit in. The last to arrive was Blooper. Strangely, he didn't even bother to sit down.
"Did you take a shower?"
Lakitu asked him.
"Yeah," he replied. "For some reason I woke up early, and decided to get ready early. I was just preparing some stuff, that's all."
"Okay," said Lakitu, looking hard at him. "Toadette, Blooper told us that he was getting some things ready in the morning, which is strange because we didn't really do anything last night." Lakitu, Blooper didn't drink any wine at all during dinner, which is the reason why he was able to wake up early in the morning to do something. I'm beginning to think that the mole is him. Luigi, I'm keeping my left eye out for Lakitu and my right eye out for Toadette.
"Did you like the food yesterday?"
Blooper asked them all.
"I should have ordered the Waldorf salad. Shucks, this isn't fair. I had the worst stomachache last night,"
Luigi told the others.
"That's because you didn't drink any wine,"
Lakitu said in a dreamy voice.
"You should have tried it, you could have even tasted the sulfites in it." "Sulfites?"
Luigi repeated.
"No more wine for me from now on."
Macalibou appeared out of nowhere, or rather, from behind them. The players, already used to his creepy antics, laughed.
"Guys, I have a message for you," he said. "Don't you always," said Luigi. "The mole decided to break into room 401 and leave a message on the wall,"
Macalibou told them in his most apprehensive voice,
"which happened to be the room of one of the producers. In all scrabbled up, I mean, if you look at it then maybe it will give you a clue." "Maybe we should all go take a look,"
Blooper said, looking at the others.
"That's exactly what I was going to say," said the host. "But since it's, well, top secret, only one can go at a time. Who wants to go first?"
Nobody decided to step forwards.
"Ladies first," he concluded.
Toadette rolled his eyes as Macalibou escorted her, through the hall and into a room on the left, room 401. There, Macalibou took out a blindfold from his coat pocket and straightened it out. Toadette looked directly at the wall, at the Scrabble board that hung like a painting. Before she could make out any of the words, the host quickly placed the blindfold over her eyes and stepped back.
"I'll be right back," he said. "Try not to take your blindfold while I'm gone."
He opened the door and left. Toadette sat still for a moment, thinking about what to do and their consequences. She then took off the cloth from her eyes and went up to the Scrabble board. "Toadette, on the board I saw all these words that had to do with all of us. I saw my name, Luigi's, Blooper's, and Lakitu's. The thing that bothered me was that above my name, it said death, which does not sound good for me. Also attached to my name was the word explode, so maybe there'll be an explosion later on. But the thing that caught my attention was that in the middle of the Scrabble board, I made out mole as male. I thought it was a stupid clue, because frankly, the person who made this Scrabble board pretty much forgot that one of the players was still female." Toadette put back her blindfold on. A half-minute later Macalibou entered into the room.
"It's good to know that you didn't cheat," he said to her. Follow me back.
She was brought back to the lobby, and Blooper was brought second into the room. McAliboo got an even tighter blindfold and wrapped it around his eyes. But just before his vision was blocked, Blooper was able to see his name going horizontal across the top of the board.
I'll be back in a jiffy, he said to him. Keep your blindfold on at all times.
McAliboo closed the door on his way out, but Blooper remained still, sitting on the bed. With folded tentacles, he decided not to look at the board at all.
Tell us what was in the room,
Luigi said with excitement.
Okay, said Toadette. So I went into a room with McAliboo, and he put a blindfold on me. Then he said to me that I shouldn't take off my blindfold, but then he left the room and I decided to do so. Did you get penalized?
Lakitu asked.
I don't think so, she said. But anyway, there was a Scrabble board on the wall with all our names on it and a lot of other words like boat and death, and I also think I saw traitor. In the center of the board it said mole is male. And Luigi, attached to your name and my name is the word explode.
Creepy, said Luigi, shuddering.
Mole is male.
Lakitu repeated.
Hey! What a giveaway! It's either a false clue, automatically stating that Toadette is the mole and ruining the whole game for us, or what?
Luigi said.
The clue could really mean what it says.
Blooper came back, his blindfold off.
We're running low on time,
McAliboo realized.
I'm sorry to say that only one more player will be allowed to see room 401. Who will it be?
Lakitu and Luigi looked at each other.
I want to,
Luigi said without warning. McAliboo brought him down the hallway as Lakitu folded his arms.
Did you see the left side of the board?
Toadette asked him.
I didn't see anything,
Blooper said back.
I didn't look at the board. I kept my blindfold on.
Blooper, it was true that I didn't take off my blindfold. But I was hoping I would be selected for something special if I didn't. I tried peeking, but knowing how harsh penalties were in this game, I didn't dare try to look at all. I thought it was very strange, because Toadette told me that she took off her blindfold. She can be the mole. If Luigi doed too, then he could also be the mole.
There were a lot of words, she said. There was death, explode, all our names, mole is male. I don't care what the board said,
Blooper interrupted rudely. She stopped talking and sat down.
Good for you,
Lakitu said back.
At least Toadette is more informed than you in this game. You probably don't even know what's going on. And you probably don't even know how much I know of what's going on,
said Blooper, stealing Luigi's seat. Lakitu, I'm stuck in my choices for the mole. I had narrowed it down to Blooper, Luigi, and Toadette before Peach was eliminated. I was hoping that someone other than Peach would have been eliminated instead, so then it could have helped me just a little bit. But now I'm just stuck. I've always been suspecting Toadette, but now my gut instincts say Blooper. Most importantly, Luigi has been attempting sabotage in many places throughout the game, almost as if he's doing them on purpose. Toadette, a lot of the time when Luigi talks, it sounds like he's acting or trying to cover something up. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up being the mole all along.
Okay, Mr. Green,
Michaliboo said as he pulled Luigi's blindfold to a close.
Your blindfold is there for a purpose, which means no peeking. Or else.
As soon as the host left the room, Luigi untied the cloth and stared at the Scrabble board closely. Luigi, there were so many letters, it made my head hurt. I started to cheat right after Michaliboo left the room. I saw the word plunger, which went with my occupation. Then there was cloud, a word for lucky too, but also the word calamari, which was connected to traitor. I wasn't sure if the middle really said mole is male. But I'm sure that I saw the word pom-pom on the top, which according to what I know, will help me know who the mole is. The door opened. As Luigi hurriedly went back to sitting on the bed, he realized it was too late. Michaliboo looked at him and wagged his finger at the player, in an exaggerated tsk gesture. Michaliboo brought him back to the lobby, back to the others. Luigi hung his head in shame.
I told you not to cheat,
Blooper said out loud.
Why did you peek, Luigi? I mean, why is Luigi so ashamed?
Lakitu and Toadette looked at him.
I said something rude,
the host told them.
I insulted Luigi for being a plumber, that's all. Hey, that's not true.
Luigi protested.
And I would have been honored if you had really said such a thing. So do we get any money?
Lakitu said hopefully. As Michaliboo shook his head, Lakitu's face grew into disappointment.
Oh, that stinks,
Blooper said.
I was hoping that I would get something for the team if I didn't peek. I think you did peek,
Toadette accused. Blooper shook his head left and right, as best as he could. Their next challenge was to come, but when it could occur was always a mystery for them. They began to reflect on their journeys so far in the game. Luigi, I'm finally bringing justice to myself for all those moments that Mario overshadowed. This game is exciting, but to make it to the Final Four? Yeah, amazing. I feel honored to have my name placed this grand in the game. Does that even make sense? Anyway, I feel giddy and slightly nervous so far. Blooper, I feel so glad to have made it this far. I've tried so much to do so. Every execution frightens me so much, even though I don't show it. And I'm just over-relieved to have passed a lot of other people. I did realize that at many times I became extremely stressed, but so far I'm shocked, actually, how far I've made it into the episodes. Toadette, being the only girl is hard because usually it's easier to read people of the same gender as you. I'll be okay if I don't win, because I'll look back at everything and feel pretty awesome in myself. Especially at all those times that I would cry and break down, I would just look back at them and laugh. Lakitu, crap, I haven't formed a coalition yet. Maybe later. Maybe towards the end of this episode right before the execution. But I had fun. Winning isn't everything. I have someone at home who loves me, I have a happy home already, and I have, or will have, a life. So in conclusion, if I get beat, I'll be disappointed, but it'll be cool. Dinner was served for the 4 of them. On the table, instead of numerous bottles of wine like the previous night, there was a peculiar object that they had taken notice of first, before anything else. It would only serve as a foreshadowing clue as to what would be happening in their next challenge.
It's a plastic bag,
Luigi noticed. He opened it up and picked up the glass object inside it. Lakitu grabbed it from him right after.
It's a test tube full of water,
he said, bringing it closer to his eyes to look at it.
Or maybe it's not water. Maybe it's... Whoa, what is that?
They all leaned closer to examine the small speck of black floating within the vial.
It's a dead fly,
Luigi shouted. He sat back down in her seat with a disgusted face. Lakitu and Blooper laughed.
Hey, I empathize,
Toadette told them.
That's horrible. I don't find it funny. It's a clue,
Blooper said with realization.
The fly is a clue, and the water is a clue. How is a dead fly a clue?
Asked Luigi, sitting back down as far away as he could from it.
And this plastic bag is also a clue,
Blooper continued.
It's showing that someone will be carrying something, or suffocation, or something involving death. That's just sad,
mocked Lakitu.
You take these things way too seriously. No, I agree,
said Toadette.
We already had something like right before the relatives game, so if that was important, then this should be too. So if this is important,
Lakitu thought,
then our next challenge is probably going to be happening tonight.
It was unusual for a blue moon to appear in the sky before midnight. But all it did was illuminate the shine which entered through every glass pane of the house. It was a rather large house, but not large enough to be called a mansion. None of the windows were shattered, and not a single door in the house or a part of the wooden floor creaked, so the abode wasn't fit enough to be called haunted. But it wasn't comfortable enough to be called a home. Not one place in the house was it titled to be a resting place. And the aroma was odd enough to send an unavoidable shiver down your spine. There were 3 floors to the house, strung together by strange, Escher-resembling staircases. The strange thing was, only 3 rooms existed within the place. 3 rooms which would serve the necessary accommodations for 3 lucky victims, in the quiet livings of Macalibu's funhouse. The parlor was neatly lit. A suit of armor guarded the only door to the outside, an item which hindered the only way to true escape. Next to it was a couch, with 3 petite dolls sitting on each cushion, their eyes fluttering on every occasion. The grandfather clock let out an eerie dong as both hands struck 12 simultaneously. Medical and art degrees littered across the wall, with the name Mason Coles HALLYBOO written in large font on each one. The severed heads of a deer, a bear, and a moose were stuffed and placed as trophies above the fireplace. A trumpet sat on top of the piano, and under the piano laid an assortment of infant objects in a cradle. A painting of the host was situated over the ignited fireplace, in between the 3 animal displays. In the center of the room, a table.
Welcome to Macalibu's funhouse,
said Macalibu.
I hope you have as much fun in here as I do.
His voice was not the usual, but instead it was a creepy voice, creepier than he had ever spoken before.
I don't like this,
whined Luigi. Lakitu patted his back in a comforting manner.
My mother built this house for me when I was very small,
he continued in his disturbing tone of voice. Everyone laughed lightly. Blooper looked around at his odd surroundings.
Do you like my dolls, Toadette?
He asked her.
They're very pretty. Sometimes I think they're alive.
Toadette covered her face.
We're finally seeing your true side,
Lakitu told him. They all laughed, including Macalibou, who gave out an unusually high-pitched laugh instead of his normal chuckle.
I don't like this place,
Luigi continued to whine.
Don't worry,
said the host.
Once you sleep here tonight, you'll never want to leave again.
Luigi, when Macalibou said the word sleep, the only thing I could think of was that we were going to have to sleep here tonight, in this haunted house. It's a nightmare. Blooper, it's just pondering about what we'll have to do next. It frightens me to know that this house would play a major part in our next challenge, but I wasn't ready to do such a thing so late at night.
Tonight, we have some games planned for you in Macalibou's funhouse,
explained the host. He touched the deck of cards in front of him lightly. Toadette, I don't know how this could be a funhouse, because nobody is having fun at all.
We all love cards, he said. So we'll be playing some card games tonight. I can't play because I'm not good at card games. And in these games, only 4 people are allowed to play. And on top of that, I've already played this game before when I was very little. It was with my 3 dolls and me, and I tried to win. I really did.
Lakitu, the more Macalibou talked the more I started to think that he wasn't acting and that he was slowly getting possessed by some demon in the house. I was ready to run out of the place, but when I turned around to look at the exit I see this huge 7-foot knight statue blocking my way, and I think to myself that this night will be a hell night.
I'm giving each of you a chip,
said the host, handing each of them a blue card.
Each blue card is worth 10,000 coins. If all cards make it to the middle of the table, then that'll add 40,000 coins to the stake pot, an amount of money that would either be added to the team pot later on, or lost, depending on how you play my funhouse in the next challenge. But we'll get to that later.
He took the deck of cards that were situated in the dead center of the table into his hands and shuffled them neatly.
Our first card game will be High Cardinal. Each of you will be dealt a single card, and whoever ends up with the highest value card has to make one of 2 choices. The first choice is to add your chip into the stake pot. The second choice you have would be to kick another player from the table, and out of this parlor. Once a player is out, they won't be eligible to play our later, fun card games. That would make that person sad, wouldn't it? But this is a game, so feel free to do whatever you want. But it'll be stupid if we kick someone out who still has their chip,
Toadette said.
So we'll all agree to give our money in. Right.
Lakitu nodded slowly.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that,
Luigi replied. Blooper, sitting right beside him, gave Luigi a nudge, as if he was implying something to him. Luigi didn't get it.
Okay,
continued Macalibou. He handed them each a card from the top of the deck, face down.
Flip your cards,
he told them. Everyone did as followed. Lakitu, Jack/Blooper, 7/Toadette, 3/Luigi, 2.
Lakitu has the high card,
Macalibou announced.
You can either add your chip in or kick someone else out.
Lakitu looked around at the others before placing his blue card in the center of the table.
The stake pot now has 10,000 coins,
Macalibou said, who gradually began to convert into his regular tone of voice. He handed everyone but Lakitu a card this time. At the command, they flipped them over. Blooper, 3/Toadette, 10/Luigi, 4.
Toadette, you have the high card,
Macalibou said.
Either add your chip in or kick someone else out.
Toadette grabbed her blue card and tossed it into the center. With only Blooper and Luigi remaining, they were each dealt a single card for the third time, and then flipped them over. Blooper, King/Luigi, Ace.
Luigi,
said Macaliboo.
You can kick away Blooper from the table or add your 10,000 coin chip to the center.
Luigi looked at Blooper, who looked right back at him. The plumber added his card to the middle.
Blooper, you now have the choice,
Macaliboo said, as Blooper listened.
You can either add your chip into the middle, bringing the stake pot to the maximum of 40,000 coins. Or, you can kick out any other player right this second. What will it be?
Blooper thought considerately, and then looked at the three players around him. He added the fourth chip into the middle of the table, bringing the value to the most it could be.
Since we've already determined the amount of money that our next challenge would be worth,
Macaliboo said conclusively, yet in truth inconclusively,
we'll now get to our little games of eliminations. They will determine who gets to go home and miss the later fun, and which three of you will get to stay here for our later festivities. The last player standing after the game's end gets to go back to the hotel and have a pleasant night's sleep. The rest of you, well, we have other accommodations for you, here in Macaliboo's funhouse. Don't we, girls?
At the second the host flashed his eyes in the direction of the dolls, the little eyes fluttered lightly. All the players laughed nervously. Luigi, I'm not looking forward to spending the night in Macaliboo's funhouse.
And of course, we have some rewards to give out to some people for being such enthusiastic diners at the restaurant last night,
Macaliboo recalled.
Toadette, you were the only person who ordered the today's special, the Waldorf salad, so you get an extra life at these games. If you find yourself eliminated, you'll get a second chance.
Toadette smiled and nodded.
Lucky too, you drank the most glasses of wine last night,
said Macaliboo.
We didn't necessarily have to count your glasses to find this fact out. You also get an extra life.
Lucky 2 leaned back with satisfaction.
Anyone up for a game of spoons?
Asked Macaliboo, pulling out 3 spoons from his coat pocket and placing them in a triangle shape in the center of the table, on top of the chips.
We'll be passing cards to each other in a cycle, starting with me and ending at the dead pile,
he stated.
You are only allowed to have 4 cards at a time. Once you receive a card from the person on your right, you must get rid of one of your 5 cards and pass that card along to the person on your left. The objective is to get a 4 of a kind. Once you have it, you must grab for a spoon from the middle of the table, and that's where it really gets chaotic. The others must grab a spoon before there are none left, but if you're the one left without a spoon then you're out. Understand? Good. Let's start. I'm not good at card games,
Luigi complained, in a futile effort to change the activity.
I would be more focused on reflexes and speed,
Blooper pointed out. Macaliboo handed Toadette a card, who then had 5. She passed one of hers down to Luigi, who passed one of his 5 cards to Blooper, who removed one of his 5 cards and gave it to Lucky 2, who removed his selected card and placed into the dump pile. The cycle continued, as each of them kept their fast pace but at the same time a lookout for any duplicates that came across their hand. For a full minute, the game went on, with nothing but the sound of cards shuffling and passing from one person to another. Suddenly, Lucky 2 grabbed a spoon. Luigi quickly threw his cards to the side and grabbed another. Blooper immediately followed the same action and grabbed the last remaining spoon from the center of the table. Toadette folded her arms and sulked.
I don't have a spoon. Hush, you have an extra life,
reminded Macaliboo.
We'll play again, and this time, if it's not Lucky 2 who fails this time, somebody will be eliminated. Let's begin again.
The game of spoons repeated for the second time, and the shuffling continued. Blooper had his strategy, he took his eyes off from his own cards and stared at the triangle of spoons in the middle instead. Blooper, I had such a great idea, and I never before thought of it until I realized how dangerous it would be to stay in this house. So instead of trying to get 4 of the same card into my own hand, I watched attentively for the first motion of a spoon grab. In that way, I would assure myself to the next round by grabbing a spoon quick enough, thus get from the house and possibly end up in some special, solo game that's planned for me. Once again, Lucky 2 was the first to get 4 of a kind as he took a spoon. Blooper grabbed the second one. His plan had worked out quite well. Luigi reached over to get the last one, but realized that Toadette had already taken it.
Luigi, please exit this room,
McAliboo said, pointing towards the direction of the open door. Luigi got up from his chair and walked away nervously. He stood still for a second before disappearing out of view, shaking noticeably on the way out.
Enjoy my funhouse,
McAliboo whispered.
Poor Luigi. Always a loser. I fear the worst,
Lucky 2 said enthusiastically.
I hope I'll be the one to stay until the end. We'll see,
Blooper told him.
We'll see who's better at cards. Well, that's one of them,
McAliboo mumbled to himself, then looked at the remaining 3 players.
Now we'll be playing blackjack. Everyone knows how to play. I don't,
said Toadette. Blooper and Lucky 2 exchanged glances of awe.
Okay. Then,
the host explained.
I'll give each of you 2 cards to start. If you want to hit, I give you another card. Get your card values as close as you can to 21, but if you end up with a hand with a higher total of 21, you bust and you are eliminated. So if you bust, you are out and must stay here in my funhouse. If I were you, I would try my hardest to bust on purpose. If none of you busts though, the person with the lowest total will be eliminated.
He finished.
Let's begin our second game for tonight, shall we?
He handed each player a total of 2 cards, which after everyone was dealt did they flip them over. Toadette, 8 and 7. Lucky 2, Jack and 6. Blooper, King and 2.
Toadette has 15, Lucky 2 has 16, and Blooper has 12,
McAliboo counted. From somewhere under the table, or possibly from his sleeves, he pulled out 3 pieces of thick cloth.
Remember these?
He asked them.
Blindfold yourselves.
The players did so reluctantly. Lucky 2, I was thinking that McAliboo would switch our cards while we were blindfolded and add some sort of messed up twist to the game. But he didn't. Well, at least I don't think he did.
Raise your hand if you are willing to go for a hit,
he stated. Blooper and Lucky 2 raised their hands.
Take your blindfolds off,
he instructed. They all did. Lucky 2 kept his arm raised in the air.
You can put your hand down, Lucky 2,
said the host, but the player kept his hand up in the air, in the attempt to show the control he had over his own body.
Fine, do that,
the host said with annoyance.
Toadette, I'm guessing you chose to take a stand at 15. What does that mean? You chose to stay at your card total of 15. Oh, yeah. Lucky 2, you chose to take the option hit,
McAliboo said.
Well, here's your third card.
Lucky 2 immediately flipped the card over, another 6. Lucky 2, bust.
No.
He exclaimed.
Wait, I still have another life. Yes. If only had you stayed where you were, you would have saved your extra life and put Blooper and Toadette at the risk of elimination instead,
McAllibu informed him.
Now if Blooper hits over 21, we're moving to our next game. If he stays below, we'll do our second game a round of blackjack.
Blooper took the card that McAllibu handed him, and with a small sigh, he flipped over the card, a queen. Blooper, bust.
Well, congrats Mr. Inky,
McAllibu said in a congratulate voice.
You just won yourself a free ticket to a free night at my lovingly funhouse. Out that way, and enjoy your day, night.
Blooper sat where he was, a bit stunned. He then shuffled out of his chair to stand up.
I still have a chance at playing well later on,
he said strangely, before passing the Knight of Armor on his way out. The clock struck 10 minutes past midnight, and a cuckoo bird with a strikingly familiar hat popped out, its beaks opening and closing as it let out an eerie croak, almost like the sound of a dying frog.
Everything here is just creepy,
Toadette noticed.
Of course he is, Blooper's always strange,
Lakitu added.
But the weirder thing is that you, Mizra Toad, and I, Mr. Clouda, will be having an intense one-on-one action card battle based on the game of... What's the last game by the way? Poker, of course,
said McAllibu, collecting all the scattered cards around the table and shuffling them drastically.
This will determine who gets to go back to the hotel for a pleasant night's sleep, and who has to stay here and suffer, enjoy my games that are planned here for tonight, in McAllibu's funhouse. You'll be playing against each other. The one who ends up with the highest poker hand ranking is the winner. No pair hands are worth nothing, and they are also known as garbage hands, if that helps you out. Another rule, suits mean nothing. Say goodbye to flushes.
Lakitu got 5 cards, and Toadette got 5 cards. Toadette, ace, 3, 2, 5. Toadette, my father used to play poker and he always told me to expect the other person to have a higher value than you think that have. I had numbers that almost went in a sequential order, so if I traded in my ace and received a 4, I would get a straight, which I hope would beat what Lakitu has. Lakitu, 3, 9, 8, king, 3. Lakitu, I have a pair, which means that I'm not near death. But by the way Toadette is touching her cards, I think that she probably has a full house or a 2 pair at the least. This is totally risky if I try to give up one of my 3s, so it's probably better not to go too risky and discard all of my cards. I'll probably beat Toadette if I get a full house myself. Lakitu discarded his 9, 8, and king. He was handed 3 replacement cards back into his hand. Lakitu, 3, 7, queen, 3, 3. Toadette discarded her ace and drew another card. Toadette, ace, 5, 3, 2, 5.
Players,
McAllibu said.
Reveal your hands.
The 2 remaining players did so nervously. Lakitu, 3 of a kind. Toadette, 1 pair.
Lakitu is our winner,
announced McAllibu, clapping his hands with delight.
I'm sorry to say that you won't be staying here tonight, but instead, you'll be going back to that same, dull hotel. Toadette on the other hand, you get to stay here with the rest of us. No. Yeah.
Lakitu said with a wide grin.
No torture for me. Please, let us all exit.
Macalibou and the two players stood up and exited the parlor. As Lakitu went left with Macalibou and a big smile on his face, Toadette walked right, further down into the gloomy hallway. Lakitu turned around and gave her a supportive thumbs up, but Toadette didn't even bother to turn around. Somewhere, through the darkness that lay in front of her, Blooper and Luigi were waiting uneasily in one of the many horror rooms that created the existence of Macalibou's funhouse. The mole is feeling extra comfortable right now. But just how comfortable can the mole become when covered in flies and rotting meat? Or trapped to drown or suffocate? My profile has this Scrabble board. Good luck in finding any clues, if any. Please review if you'd like, about who you think the mole is at this moment. End of chapter.